We also went to Shark Tank season 2, but till the audition stage. People don't really give a fuck about advertising. I honestly don't care if the teams that I work with talk about the clients as their own, because it is their work. I am just the dalal here, right? Like, I'm just the broker, dude.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures and play a few games. Today we have with us Rohan Mukherjee, the founder of, and Rohan, I'm going to stop here and let you say the name first.
Byooooob with like
Byooooob.
5 O's.
Byooooob with 5 O's. Rohan, how are you feeling?
All good, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm back in Mumbai after 4 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so although work keeps happening, I find a reason to like just
Avoid.
stay away for some reason, because whenever this occasion of dropping down to Bombay happens, I'm like, "Arey yaar, wo garmi hai," and I can just imagine all the thekas that we used to go to and DSP Black. So I'm like, wo life nahi chahiye, the struggler Rohan wala phase. I can just imagining Bombay kind of makes me sweat.
Makes sense. I'll level the playing field. That's exactly how I feel about Delhi.
Yeah.
So a lot of my work has me go to Delhi, and every time I have to book a flight, I'm like, "Jana hai? Is it absolutely necessary?"
Can it not happen over a Google Meet? Like,
So Rohan, you did a bachelor's in law.
yeah.
During your bachelor's, you founded a legal services company, Grayscale, during which you became the head writer at The Awkward Fruit.
Right.
So quite an inception
Yeah.
career there. But that was the pivotal point of your career, which then had you going into writing, PR, advertising, and then full circle back to founder with Double Clap and then Byooooob.
Yeah.
So we're here today because of Byooooob, and so we're going to play a quick little game to understand exactly what it is.
Done.
Okay, so the game we're gonna play is called the Twitter Pitch Challenge. Twitter is known for its 280 character limit
Right.
on every tweet, which sometimes makes it a little difficult to convey your thoughts. So we want to transfer this challenge to you to explain to us Byooooob in 20 seconds. But we won't make it easy. We also want you to use one emoji and one hashtag in your tweet.
Okay.
So we have a stopwatch and we're
20
gonna
seconds,
start. Yes, in 3, 2, 1, go.
So Byooooob basically helps founders and project managers not do the work that they hate and instead delegate it to a team of freelancers who can take it up instead. The goal is to sort of just release the pain from all your lives. We call ourselves the Uber of freelancing agencies, and the hashtag would be no freelance. I don't know.
And emoji.
Emoji would be that crying with a wink emoji thingy smiley.
You
28
went
seconds.
way over. But no, interesting model. So we'll definitely delve deeper into that throughout our conversation.
To start, I want to address the elephant in the room, which is, so if we had a follower for every time I met a lawyer who writes on the side, we would be making a shit ton of money on this podcast.
Yeah.
Now, can you explain to us why this is a common phenomenon?
I mean, how is it a common phenomenon though?
I can't tell you the number of lawyers I've met that write on the side. Yes, at least out of the last 10 I might have met, 7 write on the side.
I'll tell you the common theme, but the way I see how advertising in general, or maybe just commercial writing, is similar to law, is where you're doing it on your own. It's a professional service, but you're also detached from your client. You know how lawyers are like, you're not supposed to judge your client.
Yeah.
It could be a murder, it could be whatever. My job is to defend the client to the best of my ability. Similarly, if you're an advertiser or if you're writing for any commercial project, you're writing for someone, for a brand. You might not personally endorse the brand, but it's not your job to judge them. So you could be writing for a political party, you could be writing for a product that doesn't work, but your job is to sell it. I think I draw that similarity there, because I'm like, हाँ यार, मतलब, because we have these long conversations, right? When you're working in agencies, कि यार BJP के साथ काम करेगा क्या, या whatever, right? Like, so my take on that usually was, and I think it still remains the same, is that you might have your personal preferences in terms of which political party or whatever you're leaning towards. But let's say if I'm selling an Adidas sneaker or Kevinter's milkshake, and I probably don't like the sneaker, I don't like the milkshake, I'm still selling it. So just because I'm not taking credit for the sneaker selling. Like, the sneaker is not my doing. My doing is the communication. Similarly, I cannot take the blame for a political party or something that's the other end of the circle, right? So it's that. Just detach yourself from that. I mean,
That's a very interesting insight.
Yeah.
I mean, I can completely see the parallel of detaching yourself from who you're fighting for.
Yeah,
In both
yeah,
cases,
yeah.
you're fighting for someone,
Correct.
and it's just about how well you can fight.
Correct. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so let's put that aside. What happened to Double Clap?
Double Clap. So nothing happened to Double Clap. Byooooob, I would say, is like a natural progression or an evolution of Double Clap. So Double Clap Pay, we were three founders, like me, the other guy whose car got broken down. There was another guy who was a designer. So it was just three of us. And also there's a little lead up before Double Clap. So when I quit my last job in 2018-ish, 2017. So there was this Facebook group that was looking for like writers. I was like, ye karke dekhta ho. And it was random. Like I had a job, very crazy job after agency life, where I could get out of office by 5:30, which was insane. Like I was in Gurgaon and leaving office and seeing the sunset while sipping beer from a machan. Like, ye to nahi ho sakta hai reality. Like this is too good to be true. But I had extra time on my hands. So that's when I started freelancing. And Facebook was still a thing back then. So Facebook groups pe there was this freelance writer kind of group. Saw someone in Australia, in Melbourne, asking for writers. They were just looking for writers. I'm like, ठीक है, बात करके देखता हूँ. And obviously my writing portfolio was pretty decent back then as well. He liked my work, but then he gave me an offer that, hey, I'd like to have you on board. I'll meet the pay that you're getting at your current job. This is obviously completely remote because I'm in Melbourne. I'll be the client facing guy. You just do the creative stuff, like write. But I also need a designer or a visual person. Now I'll give you two choices. One is, let's say I'm giving you 85K. I'll pay another 85K, but it's now your choice to get either someone as senior as you, or get two juniors. I was like, my friend is also there, तो उसको भी लेके आता, और राजीव था, like same पैसा है, लेके आजा, हम लोग घूमेंगे यार. ये सब, let's just quit your job. So both of us gave our notice. We were like, ये सही है, because now we can quit Gurgaon, because why the fuck are we in Gurgaon if we can be literally anywhere? So the first thing we did, so this agency was called the Applause. So Double Clap was an Indian version of Applause when we were trying to build it out in India, like get Indian clients, because Australia was doing decently well. So that's when the legalization of the name kind of happened. We were like, acha, Applause wasn't apparently registrable because something existed. So we were like, Double Clap kar dete, because it's literally the same logo, two hands clapping for Applause. We were like, why carry over karna hai? So it was that. So that was Double Clap. And essentially, but yeah, 2018 was like insane, like the best year of my life, our lives, because we were essentially in a place where I was going to Goa, then 6 weeks of Goa, then we were planning ki Kochi chalte hai, because it's just that, like, just pack your life in a suitcase. So that's what
literally
happened.
my dream.
Yeah, I mean,
Like to travel around and work simultaneously.
I like to believe that this was remote working. Before remote working was like cool and acceptable. Ki auntie uncle को समझाना पड़ता है कि this is okay. Work happens if we don't physically meet and exchange business cards with two hands like a newborn baby. You know, like this is okay. So all of that. So I mean, yeah, Double Clap happened then. So, but we shut it down because there were limitations. Because again, it was just three of us, right? Like the third co-founder, whose car got broken down, was the client servicing person or the project manager. So creatives is like, I am the writer or the person who will at least talk to the client in terms of creative strategy, all of that. And the designer is completely the behind the scenes guy. Mujhe call pe nahi aana hai, right? Like that guy. So, but his work is amazing. But then there is a limitation in terms of how many can two people do. And you end up working with freelancers, you end up hiring people. And also the limitation was that we were purely a branding and a packaging studio. So brand identity karke, then the client obviously wants to do, like, let's say a website, or let's do social media. And we were like, how do we do this? Like, obviously they want to work with you because you've built the brand, but we don't have the capability to service them further. So instead of letting them go, we were like, let's just work with freelancers on websites, etc. But again, that's a lot of firefighting, right? Because you have no control over those freelancers. Someone's in Jabalpur who's just ghosting randomly. Someone's in Pune. So that's where the pain points of the freelancer market were also like very blatantly clear to us. कि ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा. And just the trust factor in India, just knowing that the person you're hiring will potentially fuck up. Just knowing that, like, if they don't fuck up, that's an exception. That's almost like, oh, that's a surprise. ये अच्छा निकला. You know, like, you just accept that and they'll disappoint you as a norm. So that kind of got my light bulbs on कि ये है, कुछ हो सकता है इसमें if we solve that problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened basically.
Very interesting journey from like where to where. And I guess, yeah, now coming down to Byooooob. But before we get down to like what it is and how you came up with it and everything, the name.
Yeah.
You need to give
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
a breakdown of how you came up with the name and like what was the thought behind that.
So there are two versions of this name ka reasoning kya hai. One is to for the corporates and for VCs, right? Like we tell them that there are 5 O's in the name. So each O stands for 5 milestones of a project.
Oh.
So from a brief stage to the final approval, we like just made it up, right? Like just talking
The
out of my ass.
branding,
Like yeah. Like how the O stand for each milestone. Like your brief, the first round of approval, some feedback, project revision, and then handover, like some shit like that. I'm also making this up as we speak. So it's basically that. So that is one reason. But then the actual reason was I just wanted a name called Byooooob, like Byooob. I just found it very Swiss-like. It has an I. It felt very IKEA to me. Like it has that weird letter, right? You just visualize the B and a Y and an OIB. Like ये अजीब है. So it's obviously just something. It means nothing, but it feels very weird. But obviously BYOB can't be registered, right? Like that's like be your own boss, bring your own booze, all of that. All the permutations, combinations are taken. So you're like, चलो डाल दो यार चारों इसमें.
So did you keep adding an O till it was okay?
Yeah, I remember there was this agency or an organization called On Boom. Boom maybe was the name, or On Boom, and they had like 5 or 6 O's. And I remember that domain name very clearly because it was like literally a long caterpillar like domain name, right? Like On Boom. So I was like, yes, sahi hai. Why can't we do this? And also we were probably designing the logo at the same point of time. So the guy who was designing it, he found that मतलब BYOB में वो feel नहीं आ रहा है, so he just wanted to structure it, and he just took the liberty of adding 4 O's just to like make a square kind of logo कि O-O-O-O-O-B. So that's 6 letters kind of form a 3x3 sort of square.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like, चलो इसी को नाम बना देते हैं फिर, like it's that the logo kind of defined the name as well.
Damn. Okay, very interesting. I love how like your story to the VC is completely different from the truth and like how it is. I mean, like I guess that's essentially building a brand, like the storytelling behind it, and like it doesn't matter whether it's true or not, it's what you can come up with.
That was the full form, by the way. Build your own brand.
Oh.
But I was like, ये काफी boring
When
है
you
यार.
said beer, I thought it was like, you know,
हाँ नहीं. So the idea was
at the office, bring your own booze.
So the idea was that if you're a project manager, if you're a founder or a startup founder, whatever, if you don't have the money, what I'm trying to build is also like, we are not even close to the ambition or the goal that I have, right? Like I just wanted someone to be able to hire an agency or freelancers while sitting on the pot. I'm like, अगर वो कर पायो ना, like then you have served a global level problem. Because imagine how we book Ubers, right? Like we can book an Uber when we are drunk.
Yeah.
That means the UI, the confidence, like as a user, you're completely confident that I will get from A to B in my cab. Even if a driver cancels, the app will replace a driver. Obviously, right? Like you're not concerned ki kya hoga, how do I figure out what to press, even if you're pissed drunk. So I was like, let's build something for freelancers that way. Like even if let's say I'm a founder and I have to travel to some place tomorrow, and I just don't have the bandwidth to take up a project, or I'm working in a company like a mid-level sort of senior person, my honeymoon is coming up or marriage is coming up, I just want someone else to do my work. So I just was like, ye agar ho pata hai, maybe there is a problem here where people will pay to solve it for you. Like let's just hire a team. I don't want to do this pitch deck, someone else does this pitch deck, I just pay them to do it, just like we get services like an Urban Clap or etc. So that was the goal.
What's that journey to the goal, and like where are you currently, and how do you currently make money?
So the money is basically your commission from the payments that we receive, right? So that's pretty simple. We started off in 2021. We built a prototype where the vision was to create like an app, and you know how we necessarily try to complicate things, like just because it just sounds impressive because app banate hai, product banate hai. We also went to Shark Tank season 2 bus till the audition stage. We had an MVP. We showed them on screen that, hey, this is how it'll work. But the thing with apps is that it's not great for TV. Like you can't demonstrate a product on Shark Tank. You can't, it's just a screen. Like ye hoga user journey. So it's not good TV, right? So also we didn't have a finished product. So that didn't happen. But we were like, let's just do it on our own. Let's see what we do, because we had no, Godfather or some crazy funds. We were like, paisa banate and usi ko dalte gradually. So we ended up just doing a website version of the whole thing. We were like, let's just boil it down to the bare basics of what do we need. We need someone to enter the details. Like this is the, let's say I'm a user. I'm like, I need to build a website for my organic protein shake brand or something. तो मुझे तीन चीजें मिल गया ना as a platform. I know that I'm a founder, not an employee of the company, so I have some say. I know that the category of the product is some organic protein shake or something like that. And I know that I need to build a website. So once you have these three parameters, website say obviously that sort of fluctuates into okay, UI plus UI design plus development or just development. Do you need like a full scale e-commerce website or just landing page? So all these permutations and combinations, you kind of arrive at what they exactly want. Like the idea was to get a very crystal clear brief that becomes like you can give it to anyone who's in the business, who's a freelancer or an agency, and they'll be able to understand or quote a very accurate price instead of getting on a call, trying to understand ki aap kaun ho, what's your budget. Like let's just get all the inputs as soon as possible. And then obviously we have on the back end like a database of freelancers, and we have already profiled them in terms of who does what, who charges what, kiska kya strength hai. So we are able to match them accordingly, right? Like if someone wants like a very quirky sort of landing page, we know the guy who does that design, for example. Or if you want e-commerce, we know someone who does that e-commerce. That's our job, to match you. What we are doing as humans was what the product would have done in that algorithm stage. That was basically it. It's just zyada mehnat hai abhi, and it's not scalable because it's me and another guy and other project managers who are the layer between the client and the agency or the team. So that's how we work currently. But yeah, we'd like to automate it as soon as possible. Maybe by the next financial year.
So one quick question, yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Do you get foreign clients?
Yeah.
So I know, for example, Deloitte in the US is building a delivery center in India for design.
Yeah.
150 people they're putting in the delivery center for just design projects where they of course take the client in the US and they make the work happen here and take that margin. One, how do you keep your client pipeline stacked? Because let's say you're a regular agency, right? Where you're a full service agency.
Yeah.
You're going to get big ticket retainers. You know, you as a founder would be meeting large clients.
Yeah.
Here you have slightly more of a volume kind of business.
Correct.
So how do you keep your client pipeline stacked?
So we split our clients into like two ways, right? One is your low ticket clients and your high ticket clients. So the low ticket clients, the priority is very crystal clear in our mind. Like this is not something that we'll be proud of probably in terms of the social media output or whatever. It's like काम है कर दो, मतलब मजदूरी वाला काम है, right? So it's that. But we are very crystal clear in that. Don't expect a low ticket client to get you awards or be like something that you're very proud of. It's just bill paying work. So do that with that mindset and do whatever you can to the best of your ability. So that's there. And as long as the client is also on board in terms of, hey, these are the expectations that you're set. This is the kind of output that you can expect. This is the kind of ROI that you can expect. Then it's all good. Then you invest in a smaller amount, but the larger ticket clients, which could be international clients as well. And that's where you sort of push for upsells, etc. That, hey, get a company who has many other companies within them, and then try and see how best we can fit into different offerings of theirs. Like, can we build a website for ABC? Can we do social media marketing for ABC? And because they are like the parent company and they have, let's say, 5 companies under them, it's easy for them to plug and play the model instead of, putting your effort into one company who might just die the next year. So it's that's what we kind of focus on. And in terms of like touch wood, we don't do a lot of outbound sales or pitches at all. Like jo bhi hai, it's just Instagram. Honestly, like whatever we do is Instagram, just inbound leads, people sliding into DMs with maybe questions like, hey, what is Byooooob and why are you Byooooob? All of that. But that also is an icebreaker. So then I can go on a Google Meet and chat with them and tell them what we do. And because everyone kind of looks at our Instagram feed and says, some freelancer doing whatever the fuck they want. Like this is not an agency. This is not how an agency behaves on social media. What the fuck is this? Why are you ranting about clients? We pay you. So it's that. They find that refreshing for some reason. I'm like, yes, sahi hai. Like, because I mean, no one would have thought, right? If you had to strategize an agency's social media presence, you wouldn't tell them in your right mind, ki bite the hand that feeds you. And we are doing that, and that's working for us. And we're probably touching, I don't know, this financial year we touched 1.5 crores in this revenue. I'm like, yes, it's neat, smooth, but bills get paid, everyone's happy. We can
It's not
take.
bad at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say the Byooooob team, right? The core team.
Huh.
Is it just the two of you co-founders?
It's just the two of us. With a third, not a co-founder, but an equity sort of guy who helps with our websites, etc. So Sumit is his name. He did the current website, brilliant Webflow mind. But yeah, so he's our.
It is Webflow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I knew it. I saw the website and I was like, yeah, Webflow website.
Yeah, it's the new thing, no code. So
Yeah.
it's just that. It's all those things. So he helps us with the tech stuff. Apart from that, the management, etc. It's just me and Zulfi, whose car got broken down.
Hopefully, we'll see him at some
Yeah,
point.
that'll be crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question now that I've understood more about how you all function. There's a company in Australia called MASH. Do you know it?
Nah.
So look it up sometime.
Yeah.
This is mash.com, I think is the website. So they've had immense success with a similar model. So they also do, they themselves in their core team keep project managers as a QC for the client.
Yeah.
And then they bring on board freelance teams, etc. Right? They've had crazy success. They have plans to enter India in a big way with Sameer Pittalwala. What would that mean for you?
Look, honestly, there are other players as well in the market, right? Like you have your design joys and 100k designers. People are doing it in different versions, right? Indiefolio being one of them, pretty big. They've been doing it since 2016 or something, right? So there are existing players who form a similar model. What the goal should be for clients overall, or just brand owners, project managers overall, to get used to the model, because then it becomes easier for all of us to sell this. Because right now, I think some of the pain points that each of us face, be it Kavan or us, etc., anyone, like who will I talk to? Who's my POC? Will I talk to all the freelancers when I'm hiring, let's say, a social media team, which might have more than 5, 6, 7 people working on an account? So these are like these FAQs, right? So I think that will become more clear when this becomes the norm. So I'm kind of bullish on that idea that, hey, let people come in, let this become like a new model, because it is changing. The old agency model is evolving into new agencies working together. Remember, even 5, 7 years back, you had to lie to the client ki kaun kaam kar raha hai is pe, right? Like you had your big agencies white labeling it, and it's a normal thing. Keep portfolio mein mat dalo, we can't have you showcase this. But now it's more transparent. Now I honestly don't care if the teams that I work with talk about the clients as their own, because it is their work. I am just the dalal here, right? Like I'm just the broker, dude. So let's not kid ourselves that, hey, I'm the owner of this entire IP or the brain behind this project.
Correct.
So be very honest about it. I think that's also changing. So I think when these companies like MASH also enter, that kind of just skyrockets the entire evolution of the market or industry.
I agree with you. I think I know this because we work a lot with corporates.
Yeah.
So I know from that perspective that finding creative talent today
Yeah.
is a bloody difficult
Yeah,
task,
yeah.
because anyone who is, let's say, above average in creative talent knows that they are, in the short term at least, they'll make more if they go freelance.
Yeah.
Right. And for example, let's say in the advertising industry, until you get to mid to senior level, the salaries are absolute crap.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I might as well start freelancing. Mera naam waise bhi, I'll make a name for myself in freelancing, if not through a, typical career at a network agency. So I can see how your model is kind of like the middle point where you don't have someone full time, right? Because it's tough to get someone in house. They want to work on multiple things, but at least I can manage that for you.
Correct. Yeah. It's like the middle ground between, like, if you had to use that Uber analogy again, like they are not your local bus and auto rickshaw ka competition. Neither are there or Ferrari and luxury cars and BMWs ka competition. Right? They're right in the middle. They're offering convenience.
Yeah.
So that's where we are kind of at. Like, we are not competing with your Ogilvy's and Shabangs, etc. We'll probably work with them, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
So they are also our clients probably, because they were project managers. They need to sort of extend their bandwidth when their in-house team doesn't have the capacity. So it's that. And similarly, we are not competing with your freelancers, because India, when you have these clients talking to you about, hey, they are giving X amount of deliverables for 30k or 20k, they're like, मैं जीत नहीं पाऊंगा this negotiation. I cannot fight with the people who are pricing you low amounts, because that's a market in India that is, you can't win. Like, people in our stage, we are not there to like, yaar, ye chahiye account. If you can afford us, let's do this. If not, that's totally cool. Like, we are not desperate and hungry. to do whatever, right? Like that phase happened. Oh, हो गया है. अभी Chivas Regal पी सकते हैं, मतलब, you know that. So
Correct. McDowell days are over.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, no, I mean, fair enough. And I think like you were saying more on the perspective of someone working for you, in the sense like the freelancers on your side. But like if you look at it from the perspective of a client, it's also easy to like have that middle person try to help everything.
Yeah, correct.
So it's like no, it's not like I'll go behind someone's back to try and like
all of that happens.
It happens because I'm pretty sure from the freelancer side they'll try because they don't have to lose out as much. But like
touch wood, we have these freelancers or these teams that we work with who'll give us a call like, hey, so and so called us directly. But we don't always sign NDAs with someone we know personally, etc. So it's just their good nature to like tell us he reached out, but we told them that we'll do it via Byooooob. They're like, thank you.
That is really good.
Yeah.
Like if a freelancer's coming back to you
and imagine earning that, right? Like goodwill or trust. Like who does that? Like the first thought in any freelancer's mind will be, mujhe bhi wo cut lena hai directly. But they'll come back to you because you're giving them 10 projects in a quarter.
No, it's as good as you walk into an Uber, sit down in Bangalore, you sit down and they're like, ki aap app wala band karo, main aapko direct leke jata.
Exactly that.
Correct. It's your analogy is on point now, so I see it clearly.
Yeah.
And I think also, to just counter your point, the problem is how does a freelancer price their work? It's all up in the air, right? You can have a freelancer who comes and tells you at the age of 24, ki I charge 50,000 rupees for brand identity.
I've had people say much more, but yes.
Exactly. Then you have some other rando saying ki nahi, mera to 5 lakh ka rate hai. But it's just there's no
someone's
science
lost a lot of
to
Chris
it.
Do and the future ka podcast, like valuation and value your work. And like yes, ek logo ke liye $50,000 is also something that people do. Like whatever, right? I mean, even social media agencies or etc. Like every second person I think is a social media agency owner these days. I think the average rate is like you have to be a fetus to have that experience to start an agency, and that kind of sullies the entire market, right? Because everyone has a decent feed, everyone has a decent website. So how do you know which one to pick unless you try them out and burn your fingers, and then you understand ki acha is gali mein nahi jana hai. Then you understand what not to do or who not to hire. But that's what makes it very difficult. Look at LinkedIn. Like every single person is a top voice. Like, who's the bottom voice? Like if everyone's on top, who's uske niche? It's just contradictory. So I think it's very confusing for if you're a business owner who has no idea about the creative space. Like it's easier for us. We know how this works. We know whom to call, whom to ask for references, etc. But imagine someone who has no idea. Like imagine a lawyer, right? Like I talk to my friends from college. They have no idea what I do for a living and what this is and kya hai. Tu movie mein kaam karta hai kya ye? These comments like billboard pe hota hai kya painting. So there's a lot of disconnect between people who are not in this space at all. And normally in our bubble, we forget that people don't really give a fuck about advertising. So it's all of us just backpatting each other, having podcasts and pretending that, hey, this is something that people are interested in. But it's just that, right? It's just us in our bubble. Yeah. So it's that.
No, I think it's cool. And like you said, like anyone and everyone makes agencies because it's, I think, one of the easiest ways to start something. Yeah. Like if you're creative, it's like you find a couple of clients, start freelancing. There's no initial cost. There's nothing attached to it. So why not? Like I know so many people. So many is pushing it. I know a couple of people
Let's go with so many.
That like have been working in like places before, and then they'll be like, okay, like I have to work really late. Like I'm not getting any like time to myself to do anything of my own. And like it's not like the pay is great. Why don't I just start freelance and see like how that works, and if it works out, great. Because it's like, okay, a couple, and at this point in India, there's no lack of clients because everyone's trying to start something of their own. So everyone needs like a brand identity. Everyone needs the basics. And like now what I've seen is like everyone wants to try and like also sell you like, oh, you need the strategy before the identity. So like try and figure out everything before and then like see. Well, I guess, what is your thought on that? Like having a strategy figure,
Oh my God. Like it's such a tough sell, first of all. Like when you're talking to like people from our parents' generation, I remember this client who wanted to like pivot into D2C from a B2B sort of industry. I think plywood, ye sab tha unka industry. Very proper old school business person. So, and we did this strategy for him. And it was very clearly communicated. Like we gave him a flowchart before even on starting the project that, hey, this is where you're at. Currently you are blah, blah, blah. This is the journey. Like we'll do the strategy and then we'll figure out who you are, what your voice is. Then we'll do the identity, etc. Uske baad, if needed, we'll do a social media and whatever. Like if you're transitioning into a D2C, social media needs to happen, etc. So there was a journey. Like uncle ko full picture dikhana tha before taking his money. That we did. But then after the strategy exercise got done, like it was like group workshops, etc. His partners, stakeholders, all of that just happened for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month ka kaam hoga. We gave him this deck, right? Like the strategy deck, like our findings and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's like, iske saath mein kya karu? So, like they want something to hold. Like, where is that logo? Where is that asset? What do I do with this PDF? So that is a tough sell. I mean, although you know that, hey, this is what we agreed on and everything was transparent. We didn't loot him. Like it was very transparent. But that communication gap between what is strategy supposed to do for you. So wo communication काफी strong. I mean, there are some people who kill it. Like they'll club your strategy with the actual end product. Like identity is a part of your strategy. So they will do both of them together. But when it's just strategy, then it's very tough to sort of get money from someone who doesn't understand it at all. If you understand strategy, then you understand the value. Then it's a question of how much are you willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
But किसी को अगर educate ही करना है from scratch, like hey, drinking water is good for you. Like why is it good for you? What is H2O? How do you pour it in a glass? Like then तो you are losing your energy. Might as well give them a choice between ठंडा पानी, गरम पानी, सादा पानी, all of that. That's an easier sell, no? I mean, hats off to the strategists who do it well. Yeah. But I think it's a very thankless job. Like because people normally feel like ये तो बस आता है meeting में, they'll just faff and do something, oh हो जाता है. Because ultimately the execution happens. People see the execution, they forget the thought behind it, etc.
Yeah,
it's just that.
Yeah, I guess so. Like if there is a brand that's early on and they are looking into like the identity part of things, what would you say are the benefits of doing strategy alongside that?
Ek to you kind of have that control over that project, like in terms of the identity. When you do your identity, the strategy is a part of it. Like even if you charge for it or not, you are kind of strategizing the tone of voice or the brand's approach, persona, etc. So might as well charge for it, or even if you're charging, let's say X amount, let's say you're charging 2 lakhs for brand identity and whatever, just make sure that you mention in that scope of work that hey, 50K is for strategy or whatever, right? Like just make it a part of that scope of work so they know that even if they're paying X amount, you would still charge them 2 lakhs probably, but just mention that ye bhi mil raha hai aapko. So they feel that it's a better value for the money also, no? That way. Yeah. But it's a benefit because, like I said, ultimately the strategy karna hi hai. I don't think there's any other way around it. You will have those conversations with the client when you're doing something as basic as a logo design. You will have those long discussions that what are you intending to convey? What is the brand's mission, vision, all of that jazz. So the karna hi hai. Might as well talk about it and call it something and put it under that umbrella of strategy. So yeah, it just makes sense.
We used to be invested in a company called Saffron, Brand Consultants. It is based out of Madrid. So we had opened the Indian office and we did your Apollo tires, Jindal, Steel, a couple of those rebrandings. The Madrid entity is what did Meta globally. It didn't work out in India. We had to shut down the office in India mainly because of this strategy piece. Because where, for example, a company like Meta appreciates how you take all their different businesses and talk about how that's going to play out in the future. A company like most companies in India are run by people, especially these large ones, are by people who know dhanda. And they're like, "Main dhanda kar raha hu. I don't need to know, you don't need to come and tell me how to run my business." So
I also think it's working for them. So if it's working, they don't know why they should do anything else.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
That's also the...
In fact, here convincing someone of a rebrand is only such a tough sell. Forget strategy, identity. They're like,
it's usually the second or third generation, like our age, our generation. Like we'll be like, "Papa, aapko ye chahiye," and they also want to make that impression in the company that we are here. It's a new brand now, so they want to do that overhaul. So they'll have those conversations. But Papa se paisa lena hoga.
I can't tell you the number of I'll say second, third, fourth gen on business owners I know that the first thing they do when they come into the business is either, let's say if it's a textile manufacturing business, मैं तो खुद का brand करूँगा, right? Or if it is let's say you're literally manufacturing nuts and bolts or
हाँ.
plastic
Yeah.
manufacturing. मैं तो पानी का brand खोलूंगा.
Yeah.
It's just brand. मेरे को
Yeah.
brand चाहिए. I'm like, नहीं यार, the actual money is in the manufacturing, not the brand. So in the middle you mentioned LinkedIn, right? How everyone has a top voice on LinkedIn. You are horribly active on LinkedIn, right?
I'm horrible on LinkedIn. Like, not horribly active. I mean,
but yeah, you're active on LinkedIn. Byooooob also has your broadcast channel and everything. So you definitely want/like to maintain an online presence, right? Whether it's for your personal brand or for your company. Give us the single most important reason why for your personal brand.
It's more so because the personal brand is directly related to the company. Because if you're talking to me as someone from Byooooob or the co-founder of Byooooob. So that's there. So I think even the Instagram handle doesn't work like an agency because it works like a personal handle. Similarly, you know how Pranita, Mad Ad Woman, she kind of does her own thing where red and the white is her agency, but her profile, her feed kind of brings the business to that agency. So it's that, like, it's just one of those things that we have nothing else to do. Like, we just have our social media to talk about ourselves or do whatever the fuck we want. Otherwise, it's just grunt work, right? Like, if you're not having fun on your LinkedIn or on your Instagram, then where are you having fun? Like, client work pe to nahi aa raha hai maza. So let's just, so that's how I approach it. Like, I just need a place to vent out or put out my thoughts or ideas. It could be a visual, it could be just random bullshit, but yeah, I just need a platform. When Threads came up and died in 2 days, that was also a platform. I was like, ye to sahi hai, isme text karna hai bas. It's like a Twitter but without toxicity apparently, but apparently also without users. So so yeah, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, if you keep at it, LinkedIn, Instagram, business to wahan se aayenge, and LinkedIn does wonders, right? Like, the fact that if you like those posts, right? Like, when Ferrari, who was that brand who just posted, we are hiring for agencies, and everyone went crazy. Like, there was this line of agencies. Was it Uniqlo?
I know Air India's done one recently.
Matlab, they just posted, right? Like, and so it's very counterintuitive. Where I'm like, तुम लोग क्यों comment कर रहे हो कि I'm interested in this agency? Because your colleagues now know that you're interested in pitching for this, and they will also pitch for it. Why can't you just DM this person or send them an in-mail or something? Everyone's commenting, hey, I'm interested in pitching, and the whole world is interested. Then your chances are zero, dude. So it's that. I think that's also a benefit of LinkedIn, where everyone kind of gets to know who you're engaging with, right? So the growth that way. I think if your content game is on and you have the right people in your network and you have the right people liking and commenting on your posts, then the chances of a C-level executive or a founder coming across your profile, then checking it out, then giving you their business is also high. Instead of Instagram, where you have to do a lot of boost ads and kharcha karo. LinkedIn pe kharcha bina karke you can do a lot of ROI. Like, you spend zero and you can get a project for north of 2 lakhs easily, right? Like, what's the investment there? So.
No, LinkedIn is great. Like, I think a lot of our guests also, we've like cold messaged on LinkedIn and like in general also, like, I think because everyone knows that you're coming from a professional point of view, so it makes things a little easier, I think. But another interesting thing you do is like your broadcast channel on Instagram. So yeah, like, talk to us a bit more about the conversations you have on that channel and like how that helps you as well.
So there are 2 benefits to having that. One is, to, like I mentioned, the broadcast channel is basically a WhatsApp group chat, but for an audience, right? So we add guests as collaborators, and basically that gives them ability to type and send voice notes. And the other people who are a part of the broadcast channel are just audiences, or maybe they can be added as collaborators if they want to chat with the guest, right? Me and Shlok, we kind of act as the moderators or co-hosts, etc. What we try and do is we try and pull out whatever we can within an hour from that guest. It doesn't have to be structured. It's very like, imagine texting someone, hey, and then seeing where the conversation goes. We literally structure it that way intentionally, that there is no structure. But also, apart from that, it also allows us to get into the DMs or inboxes of these people that we admire and are huge fans of, like Akib Vani and Viren, etc. Like, I wouldn't DM him without context, right? So now there is some context. Ki, ye karna hai with you, like, it's cool. Do you want to like do it? Exactly that.
Yeah.
It's that. And it's one of those things. And you put up a post where, hey, we're doing this together. So their followers get to know that Byooooob is a thing. Iske saath collaboration post ho gaya. All of that. There are these tiny, shallow benefits to it for sure.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's also just talking to these guys you aspire to be. And look at Akib Wani's work, dude. Like, just the fact that he took out 1 hour from his day and he was sending pictures of his meal, his lunch. It's just that. It's very cute, dude. Like, this format. And I love it. I'm like, low effort, low investment. You don't have to feel guilty you're taking someone's time and effort. Ki Sunday ko ye karo, sir. You can literally text someone today and be like, let's do this at 4 p.m. if you're free. And they'll be like, 4 to 5, let's do it. Yeah. And that's easy. So I think personally, I hate mehnat. So anything that kind of optimizes my laziness, like if I can just do this for the rest of my life, I think I'm all for it. Like, look at Byooooob, dude. Like, you think this was not intentional? Like, the whole game plan was to never step out of my house and make money. Like, it's just that I was telling Zulfi today while we were driving here, like, just people riding buses and trains and all of that. Like, this is such a privilege. It is such a luxury to not have to do this. Like, wo Delhi mein ho, Bombay mein ho, like dhoop, barish. You look at people grabbing locals. I'm like, fuck, ye nahi karna pada hai hame. And we are still making money. Like, look at this. Like, just...
And we pulled you all out of the house today.
Yeah.
And Zulfi said, ke saath kya hua? Gari broke down.
It's never a good
now
idea.
So he's like, for next 2 weeks, I'm not leaving the house only. Forget that.
Oh my god, no, for sure. It definitely is like a luxury to be able to do that. And I think that the whole broadcast thing makes a lot of sense because you're giving an insight in a very like casual way.
Yeah.
And people are very nosy to like generally know what's like happening.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the reason Instagram works, right? Like people are just curious to know what's happening on someone's day-to-day life or like are just like want to know like the things that are not glorified and glamorized about. So that's cool. But yeah, moving on. Our next game is 2 truths and 1 lie.
Okay.
We're gonna to understand a little bit more about your journey and your journey with Byooooob. We are gonna play this game, whether it's challenges or your biggest achievements. The idea is you give us 3 statements, from which 2 are true and 1's a lie, and then we have to guess which one is the lie.
Okay, so the first statement would be went on a shoot with Rohit Sharma having no idea who Rohit Sharma is and what Mumbai Indians even was. Like, I think this was before 2017. So I had no idea who Rohit Sharma was. He walks in, we do a shoot. I was completely not fanboying because I have no context, but seeing others fanboying over this guy, like, kuch to hai. So that's one situation. Going to a shoot with Rohit Sharma, having no idea who he is. The other is won an award for writing copy for Adidas sneakers, NMD. I think that was a line. The third would be I have never really understood how 3D animation works. So yeah.
I'm gonna go with number 3, but what's your thought as the lie?
I'm gonna go with number 3 as well. That's a lie.
Yeah.
You know exactly how it works.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the lie could have been better. I think the first one, Rohit Sharma, could have been a lie, right? Like, that would have been a more interesting lie. But I knew Rohit Sharma, but I genuinely didn't do it.
Yeah, that might be a little more embarrassing.
But I had to Google KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, and Hardik Pandya. I think Adidas had this hitman, this campaign with 3 of them. So Rohit was the hitman and blah blah blah. I'm like, ye kaun hai? Because I am not a cricket watcher at all. The last game I watched was when Saurav Ganguly was probably playing.
Oh my god.
Zakir Khan and all that. Zakir Khan nahi, kaun tha? Zahir Khan.
Yeah,
see, Zakir Khan the comedian.
I end up just to. So I'm not at all a football watcher. And in football culture, when I was in London, I used to feel FOMO so much.
Yeah.
But now even here you feel FOMO, right? Like everyone's always talking football. Ye match mein ye ho raha hai. And this team is playing this team. Like, I have no clue who these people are, but I'm just going to keep looking it up just so that I can, in some way, shape or form, participate in this conversation.
These IPL campaigns, like this thing, this season, it's going on. I'm like, everyone wants the money, but I have zero interest in cricket, and like and because you need insights, right? Like, to crack great, memorable campaigns, you need insights. So I'm like, I'm not that person, but let's just work with people. And that's why Byooooob sort of lets me do that. Like, we can work with people who's a cricket lover and then do it. Like, why?
Your second thing, you said you won an award
Yeah.
for an Adidas campaign. What was like that campaign?
So this was the concept around the campaign was to celebrate Rust. I think NMD was the line, like Nomad, etc. If I'm not mistaken, because there were 2-3 campaigns that we did. All of the sneaker lines were like 3 letters: EQT, NMD. So I'm forgetting which one this was. So I wrote copy and the script for an ad film, and we had to shoot that ad film. This was with Animal in Delhi. So we shot it with an iPhone on the terrace. Very grunge, very like handmade sort of feel. I had one sort of some Karl Manzo award, which is like a very reputable sort of German magazine or a portal that gives out the. So seeing my name out there with others, they're like crazy, dude. Like
Nice.
it was fun. It was one of those projects where you actually, like staying up late and doing that agency stuff. वो करके जब when you get that fruition of that work, like yeah, this was fun and it turned out great. So that was one of those projects. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's go to our next game.
Yeah.
This one's called Red Flags. So now we'll give you 3 hypothetical situations. In each situation,
Red flags, my favorite.
there are
Yeah.
2 things that are going well and one that is the red flag.
Okay, perfect.
Right? We'll of course let you refer to it after I've said it. But you have to choose which of these 3 situations you'd rather be in.
Okay, I'm done.
So situation 1 is Byooooob is simultaneously working with over 50 clients. Your revenues have doubled in the last year, but your last 3 clients have been unhappy with their outcome. Situation 2 is Byooooob has over 300 available freelancers in its roster. A network agency has shown interest in acquiring you, but you are personally cancelled on social media because of your last post. And situation 3 is Byooooob has got retainers with global MNCs. Your broadcast channel is becoming a revenue stream of its own, but your cash flow has never been in a worse position. So these are your situations. You have to choose which of these 3 you'd rather be in and why.
I'll pick situation 1
Tell us
any
why.
day. So in this situation, we are working with over 50 clients. Great. Revenues have doubled. Great. Money. Love it. Last 3 clients have been unhappy with their outcome. That's an easy solve, right?
Okay.
Like if you're unhappy with the outcome, it means I can get on a call with this client and understand where are you unhappy? What can we do to solve this? And I can solve it. It's not a permanent situation to be unhappy, right? Like it's basically that. So I'm like, there's a loophole in that red flag. It is probably a pink flag. Like basically ye solvable ho sakta hai, right? Like
No, I think it's not. I don't think it's a loophole. What you're saying is, see, for example, there are people out there. Let's say if you're a product,
yeah.
right? You're delivering mics. Now your last 3 mics that you delivered
like
were
the
shitty.
user testimonial is
Now you can't call up those users and be no. It's a much tougher thing to do.
Yeah.
So in your business only is different. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's also like you can approach them. A lot of people might just stop being like, okay, fine, they're not happy with my service. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But you're going back to them, trying to fix the situation. So that also has like
also the second green flag, right? Like or the first green flag where my
have-
revenue has sort of doubled. So let's just I mean, if you have money, you can throw money at a problem. If I can hire a better developer, let's say the outcome was a shitty website, I can hire a better developer because I have the money.
Yeah.
So it's a less headache to take when you have the money to sleep on, baby.
Oh my god. But like it's also like, okay, if your revenue double, that means like the remaining clients are definitely happy with you.
Someone's
So,
happy.
yeah.
Fuck those 3 clients.
This is why situation 2's red flag came into being. I feel like at some point you have the ability to get cancelled on social media.
That was also not too bad, right? Like if you're cancelled and if you're like it's not redeemable and someone's buying you out, I'm like, le lo yaar. Rid me of my misery. Like give me the cash. I'll start something else or go to Bhutan. Just be a monas. Just be a monk. I don't know. You can just start life again. Get a new passport. Just fuck off.
Then you pass.
So there's this inner scammy person inside me and my co-founders, right? And this is great for business that we are saying it out loud. So there's this fantasy that every project that we do, you know how you take a 50% advance or something, right? Like an advance, and 50% advance is normally not refundable. Like what if someone has an agency model which is just based around the 50% advance ki advance lo fir cut lo, because refund nahi dena hai. You don't have to give the balance because you're not even fulfilling the project. Just do a project to the extent that the client thinks that they worked on it, but you don't want to finish it. the client will not approve it or not accept it, and that's fine because your business model is 50% advance. You don't want the balance, and you can just cut off. I mean, that was like ye agency ban sakta hai, and we were like, acha, yahi to hai India ka agency model. It's great, dude. I love the idea that every new payment or project that comes in, we are like, अच्छा इसको block कर देते हैं, अभी चल जाते हैं भाई बांग्लादेश. These wild fantasies. Let's start another studio called Byooooob.
If you disappear, we know you're in the neighboring countries.
Yeah. Not too far. Not going to Europe, dude. Like 50,000, 70,000 flight में खर्चा करके क्या point है?
Correct.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, it's interesting that you don't find, a lot of people also find a larger network acquiring you would be a red flag. But for you, it is a green flag. So that's also...
Yeah, it also means that someone else likes your work, right? Like, we had a big agency trying to buy stakes in Double Clap when we were the... Can't really name them because they're kind of popular. All of that. I don't know if he'll be okay with this. But, oh shit, if I wish I could. Like, but yeah, that was...
You can say it and we'll bleep it.
Yeah, it rhymes with hebang.
That was my guess, to be fair. But like, yeah.
So yeah, it was a part of those things, right? But again, the idea then, the intention behind not acquiring, but a part of our stake was they wanted to build a network of agencies where this agency does great design. They'll invest in another company that does great web dev. So they wanted to build like a network of agencies that they can reach out to for their projects. And we were like, that means that our work is getting noticed and someone's feeling that it's worth an X amount to pay for it, right? Like that's pretty much. Otherwise, freelancing or agency business, it's not something that you normally would invest in because it's not scalable. It's not a product.
It's also a very network game.
Yeah, and it's also very like personal centered. If I die, the business is dead. For example, right? Like if my partner leaves the business or the studio, then the design line is done. So I mean, it's very shady that way. Why would you invest in us? But thank you for the money.
Yeah, just take it when you get it. Like, why are you questioning it? But yeah, moving on to our final segment. It's the rapid fire. So self-explanatory. I'll ask you a question and you have to give us quick and short answers. So how many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
0 to 2 maybe. Because short answer would be none. But it's also because even if you're on a leave, I've taken vacations, but not a leave, right? Because and then you're online on Slack, you're still doing something, you're still looped in. So it's not technically a leave.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What's your proudest moment with Byooooob?
Proudest would be when we were selected for the Shark Tank auditions. Just made me feel like, hey, there is something here that whoever the decision makers are on the Sony team, they kind of see that this is something that's worth even entertaining. I think that itself was like the initial validation.
What was the one time you felt like you let Byooooob down?
When I selected 5 O's. But honestly, I think when there were moments where we prioritized the clients and the commissions or the cuts or the revenue over the vendors or the freelancers. That happens. You get a little bit greedy sometimes. That's when I kind of have to self-correct myself. And we try to do that. We used to do that in the initial years when we wanted our pockets to be full. Like, Lalu Prasad's idea of governance ki pehle khud ko khilao, फिर दोस्तों को खिलाओ, फिर सबका पेट भर जाएगा तो समाज को खिलाओ. So that was not the right thing to do, but I think we self-corrected. We were like, keeping freelancers happy is how you make the business work because these are your machines. This is the backbone. Without them, who are we? Just 2 guys on a computer. Idiots. Nothing. Dalal hai
Your favorite Byooooob project?
That would be the project we had done with an esports company called Ampverse in Thailand. Crazy fun. I think season 2 is coming out. It's called College Rivals. It was like this big mega event across 7 cities like Hyderabad, Pune, Bombay, Delhi, all of that. And it was just college kids centric who were gamers. And it was like this IPL level thing for gamers. And it had all these influences of gamers like Gamer Fleet and all that. Names I don't know, dude. Like mujhe uncle type lagta hai when I see this. I'm like, okay, good to go. So this is fun.
I get what you mean.
But it's exciting. I think that was one of those fun projects.
That sounds mad,
Yeah, exciting stuff. What is the scrappiest thing you've done to build your business?
I think building a website on Wix.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, okay. Fair. Your emotion when you first fired someone.
We've never fired anyone. Like because we
Let
don't
go
have
for
employees.
freelancer.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be irritation because I don't think we fire someone or let someone go with guilt or remorse because wo ho chuka hai. I think we've crossed. You've probably internally crossed that phase of should I not, and then I think when you are irritated completely, that would be when you're letting someone go or stopping business together like that. Irritation would be the right word.
Fair. What did or will you do with your first profit?
I probably bought something for myself. Maybe the Marshall speaker that sits on my shelf, stuff like that. I'm not married. I am kind of my founder is whose car is broken. His life is also
Damn,
broken,
yeah,
dude.
Sorry, he hasn't made it to this episode just yet.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those things where you buy little things. I bought my dad like this recliner chair, the Chandler Joy
Nice.
boom
Yeah,
thing. I'm like, ye
nice.
chahiye ghar pe, but let's just make dad an excuse. Ki, I actually want it, but let's just make him
Give
get
it-
this
gift it
gift.
to her, yeah,
Like
okay.
birthday gift. He doesn't sit on it because his back is like, I'm used to this chair. Like, but like, yes, I. So stuff like that. I think cute stuff.
Nice. Books or podcasts?
I think podcast, but books come as a close second. Podcast would be like just something that doesn't involve you putting aside everything else and
Yeah.
also consuming knowledge. Books, may you need that.
Yeah, it's like
100%
passive
focus.
learning.
Yeah,
Podcast is optimized laziness, no?
yeah, exactly.
Fits with the
Yeah.
iPad or notebook.
Notebook.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person.
And your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that concludes our rapid fire segment, almost bringing us to the end of the podcast. We ask every guest to ask our next guest a question. So we first show you the previous guest's question.
Hi, my question to you is what are the two main qualities that you look for when you're hiring a person for your company?
I guess for you, it'll be like.
This is
Actually,
actually a very good question for you
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like because you do it at such volume, which is
Yeah.
bring people into your
Yeah.
roster and like remove
Yeah.
from your roster. What are, let's say, two things
Yeah.
you would look for?
Two things would be, first is definitely your ability to be transparent about your work, right? So if I
Yeah.
the first is your ability to be transparent about your work. Like what I mean is, if you are an expert, then convey it properly with like the right proof of work, like you are an expert, not just saying it out loud. Or even if you're a beginner or an intermediate level, someone, whatever, be it a writer or a web developer, just say that. Do not falsify who you are in terms of the quality of work
Yeah.
that the client can expect. If you're transparent about that, that makes it so much easier. Like not everyone has to be an A+ or a top level player, right?
Correct.
Like there are people who will require an MVP or someone who's just काम चलाओ वाला website, like your plywood and button industries, they will just need a website. ये एक digital visiting card है. We don't need the website to have the awards में नहीं जाना है उसको, right? So
Yeah.
that. So I think when you have clarity of thought that, hey, this guy just wants a medu vada, stop trying to sell a sushi. So it's that. It's one of those things. I think clarity goes a long way, helps us sell it ahead easier. Second would be ownership. I think this is something that everyone would probably say, like just accountability and ownership. Do not block your clients. Do not ghost them. Do not take the money and then not respond. Like maintain your work hours, but also be proactive when someone's asking you something, right? Like we've had these things over and over again where you're a part of these multiple WhatsApp groups. Clients or the POC from the client side might ask a question. Like, clearly the tick is blue now. Everyone's seen it. There has to be a response within at least 5 hours.
Dude, I have called up my friends, and nowadays the norm is to call on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
right? Network
Yeah,
is all
yeah,
spotty.
yeah.
I call on WhatsApp and they call me, they cut and call
Yeah.
me back on either FaceTime
Huh.
or regular call.
Huh.
And I was like, कि क्या हुआ? And he's like, अरे अभी मैं WhatsApp पे नहीं जा सकता, मैं बॉस को अवॉइड मार रहा हूँ.
Yeah.
I was like, that's your boss, dude. And he's like, नहीं यार तू छोड़ना tell me. So,
You could just turn off that blue tick settings, so then available नहीं पता चलेगा
yeah,
boss
and
को.
now you have an option to not show online,
Online,
just that
yeah.
everything. But नहीं. I want to avoid only.
I mean, you need those just cut off from the world wale moment. And I think once we've all quit jobs, like the freeing feeling of just exiting WhatsApp groups and just deleting it. Like I remember the last job I quit, like the Gurgaon one, I bought like 2 Carlsberg bottles, went to my room, sat in the balcony, played some music, just sat on the chair, took out my phone, just exited all the WhatsApp groups, had a sip of beer. I was like, this is life. Like, this freedom, this is what everyone was fighting for. This freedom, this is what it is. Like, just liberating, dude. Like, just.
I can imagine.
Oof.
So that's the end of our conversation. Thank you so much for coming,
Yay.
giving us your time,
Thank you.
putting in the effort to come in person. Thank you so much.
Lovely. This is fun. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be a part of the first podcast episode with the right audio quality. So,
So far. Huh?
so
So
far.
far. But yeah, thank you so much. And apologies that the founder that broke down the car
we'll have
never
to figure out
came.
what happened to him.
We should, we'll take a photo.
If he does
of
come,
him
we
and figure
need
out.
to record like a moment with
We'll
him.
there with
just have a video of him sitting on the couch drinking water, saying what could have been.
Yeah.
Just add that as-
Yeah.
Green screen pe I can record a footage and give it to you. Like, bas
Yeah.
loop pe chalta rahega wo. He'll anyway just keep
He'll
nodding.
be like,
Yeah. Correct. Right.
yeah.